Hi everyone, good morning. This is the second day that I'm doing a live. I just felt like, connecting with everybody, saying hi, and just chatting. I had like a few questions that I got from some of my viewers, and I thought I'll answer them on this live as well. Saying that when I say questions, like, my content is mostly um, fact that moving to Canada, living in Canada, things in Canada, things like that. So if you have any questions around that or just anything in particular, like anything relating to my videos or something like that, you can always ask me, and we can chat about it. But yeah, like okay, so I'm gonna start off with like the first question that I had for today's live, which was what school I went to. I actually went to two different schools in my lifetime. And the first one that I went to was a school in Kurnagal. It's an international school. It's called Royal International School. And I was there till like grade 7-ish. Yeah. And then I moved to Gateway College, Candy. So that's where I did like my O levels, my A levels, and all of that. And that's where I kind of had like my higher education and stuff. Not higher education, but secondary school education. Somebody had asked me in one of the comments about Vancouver. Okay, before I get into that, I'm planning to move with my wife around 2024. As far as you're living in Canada, what is in demand and what areas is cheaper? Okay, that's a very like wide question. It depends on what province you want to go to first, and when you say you're planning to move, are you gonna go as a student or are you gonna go as like a PR holder or work permit? Like it depends on all of that. But for me personally, let me share my personal experience here. I live in Toronto, that is in Ontario. Obviously, you probably know this already, but it's one of the major cities here, and it's one of the more commercial cities. And what I can tell you about Toronto is that like it's very crowded here. You get a lot of like different cultures, ethnicities. There's so many different. It's super multicultural. So there's that, and if we speak about things like cost of living, housing, jobs, and things like that, I would be dishonest to say that it's not challenging because it is. Like housing is getting super expensive, cost of living is going up, like immensely going up. It's quite expensive, and the job market, like I'm not like being discouraging or anything. I'm just saying it as it is. The job market is getting quite like, of course, like during this time of the year, like during winter, it's usually very slow. Like companies don't recruit, and like there's like and currently the trend is like people getting laid off, but it's, I mean, it's to do with like the season and all of that, and people are going on holiday during this time of the year. So job market is quite like all over the place and it's very slow. But I mean, apart from that, like you get like in the major cities, I think all across Canada it's the same story. But like if you move further away from the city, then yes, like it's a bit like more settled, a little less louder. Like when I say loud, I mean like life is a little like slower. So it depends on really like what you want. Let me know like if you have any like particular things that you're more worried about, and I'd be happy to answer the questions. You're doing a great job with all the vlogs. Happy to see you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah, so that's everything about like, not everything, but kind of like the situation. Um, in demand. What is in demand? if you're talking about jobs, there is quite like a wide range. I mean, for obviously like essential services and stuff like doctors and nurses and things like that. Um, but I mean, there are like jobs for pretty much like all sorts of industries and stuff. Just that, like I said, at this time of the year, it's very slow. People are not recruiting, and like if you are like the hiring process takes so long, so you get kind of like discouraged. Um, but I mean, you definitely can find jobs in different roles. I'd say like do a little bit more research on like what is in demand because I currently don't have these are the top 5 jobs people are looking for at the moment. Like I can't give you that information because I have not researched it at the moment. So yeah. Okay, somebody had asked me about housing and like how you can find housing in Canada. Like I can speak for Toronto, but I'm pretty sure it's like that across. But when I say this, generally speaking, on like Toronto based. So how you can find housing? So newcomers usually like, of course, if you're coming from Sri Lanka and if you know somebody, reach out to them. That's the best way to go about it. Um, because that's what worked for me. That's what worked for like everybody that I know that came here. Like if you have friends or family or something, reach out to them and be like, hey, if you know a place, let me know. Like this is my budget. These are the areas that I want to like stay. Because obviously by this time you need to like have done research to figure out where you want to stay and yeah, decide like where you want to stay. Okay. And then after that, like reach out to people and tell them where you want to stay and like where you're looking, things like that. If it's like in the city, if it's further away from the city, if you're good with that, then that's fine as well. Sorry about that. But yeah, if the friends and family route is not working, then my suggestion is of course, if you're coming as a student, I think you do like get information about that from your universities or colleges or whatever. But if not, you can always go to so all over Canada, all over Toronto, there's like places that are called newcomer services. There's like little officers and stuff. Well, not little, but like officers that help you with your settling. So you can go to them and be like, I'm not really sure to what extent they'll help you, but they'll at least like tell you the listings that are there, the places that you can look for, things like that. So make sure you reach out to the newcomer assistance programs. They can be of help. If not, the best place to look for like accommodation and stuff is um, Kijiji.com is a good place. And I'd say Facebook Marketplace. So those two places would be like your best bet. Best bet. I don't know what I'm doing. Best bet when it comes to like housing, finding housing. But in my personal experience, the first few places that we stayed were all like through people that we knew. So that is one thing that you can really count on. Like talk to the people you know. Your friends and family are the way to go mostly, but if not, Kijiji, Marketplace, and newcomer assistance centers, things like that. Yeah, I think that would be the best way to go about it. Okay, in terms of housing, somebody had asked like different types of housing that's available. Okay, so let me like break this down. I'm sorry, I'm having like a sore throat kind of thing. Um, so to my knowledge, So there are basements. Basements are usually like part of like full houses. It can either be like detached houses or semi-detached houses. So usually uh, there are two different types of basements, like the normal basement that you see, and there are some walkout basements where you do get like a small like yard or whatever that you can walk out to. But mostly basements come, obviously, as the name suggests, it's like the lower, like the ground level floor of a house. So those are the ones that you probably seeing with like smaller windows that does not have a lot of like natural light. So I think walkout basements have a little bit more light, and like it seems a little bit more airy and spacious, things like that. So those are the types of basements that are there. Then we have condos. Condos or apartments. Well, so the last place that we stayed was an apartment. Like, it was not a high-rise apartment, so it's not really a condo. It's a sorry about this. My voice is not cooperating with me today. But yeah, so the one we stayed at was like a three-story building, and if you haven't watched that video, go check it out. I can't link anything on these lives, but it's called the Toronto Apartment Tour. You can check it out. That was like an older building, but it had like only like 3 or 4 stories. So uh, those are like full apartments, and over there, like apartments come in like one bedroom, one plus den, two plus den, three, things like that. And den is usually like a small space where you can convert to an office or like a small living room or something like that. They're not big. Mostly dens don't come with like any natural lighting, no windows. It's just like a part of it's like a room, except like it's not closed or anything like that. So that's a den, but apartments come in like different sizes and stuff. The older the apartment, the bigger the apartment. The newer the apartment, the smaller. Like all these apartments are. It's the new apartments are super super tiny. Um, but yeah, so apartments come like that, and you can pick like, obviously, if it's one bedroom, it's cheaper. If it's like two bedroom, it's more expensive. It's two and a half, two, and then it's more expensive. Things like that. So you need to you need to make that choice. Like, say if you're coming with a family, um, I don't think like one bedroom would be enough. But if you're like a single person, there's also studio apartments, which literally like the bedroom, living room, everything is together, and the kitchen, and there's a washroom, and there's no literally like separation between two rooms. So that's what a studio is. So that kind of is what most younger people go to, like single people, like bachelor. It's called like bachelor apartments. So yeah, that's an apartment. And so usually, like when it comes to older buildings, you don't get everything inside the unit. Like for example, like laundry. Uh, yeah. So like in the place that we stayed earlier, we had the laundry unit, and yeah, we had the laundry unit separate, like in the building, but not within the unit. But when it comes to newer buildings, you get the laundry unit inside the building, as inside the unit as well. Things like that. I mean, it changes from like building to building, builder to builder, unit to unit. So yeah, there's that. And then there's condominiums, which is like high-rise buildings. So you get like 20 floors, things. Sorry, things like that. And but so condos are like newer buildings, and they're usually smaller spaces, um, and it's I mean, the older the building, the bigger the apartment, like I said. Okay. And then, yeah, so after condos, you get like townhouses. Townhouses are basically like stacked houses, except like you have about, so these are usually like two-floor houses and they are stacked. So two houses are stacked on each other. So there's like two different townhouses in one, like in a unit. In, how do I say it? I don't know. But they're not apartments. They're literally like houses with like two different floors or three different floors, but you're sharing a wall with another unit, with another house. Make it very simple. So there are townhouses, and I mean, it can be like three townhouses, it can be two townhouses. It really depends on where you're looking and where you're getting it. And then there is, after townhouses, you get like proper like semi-detached houses and detached houses. I hope I'm not missing something here. Detached houses are where if you see like one full house, that is a detached house. And usually those come with like the basement, and about one or two floors. That's how it's usually built. If it's a semi-detached house, it's an actual like one big house that is divided into two. So there are, like, your house is divided by one wall, so you share a wall. But again, they have both got basements and like your ground floor and your, uh, how do I say it? It's got two floors, things like that. But it again depends on like the buildings or stuff. But yeah, so that's what a semi-detached house is. So I mean, you can do your research. It's all online. Like, I'm just breaking it down to show you, like, let y'all know like the types of houses that you can look at. Um, yeah, I think that's pretty much like the housing, how it's sort of broken down into. Um, Hi, Lolita. Is renting expensive in Canada? It depends on which province you are in. In Toronto, that's where I am. Housing is expensive. It's getting expensive. Like renting a decent like space is getting expensive. I mean, I won't sugarcoat it. It is getting expensive. Can you draw it and show, please? No. Draw what? Like, do you want me to draw what a townhouse looks like? Um, okay, let me figure out a way to show this to you guys. I don't have any like equipment to like draw and show at the moment. So maybe I'll do it on a different live. And if you have more questions about housing or things like that, let me know. I'm sorry if I confused you guys, but I don't even have like my iPad on me to show you guys. But I should probably bring it next time and show you all. But yeah, so there's basements, apartments, condos, townhouses, detached houses, and semi-detached houses. Um, for housing, I hope that makes sense, you guys. Okay, now I am moving on to probably a different topic. Unless anybody has any questions for housing. I'm looking at the questions that I've got and trying to see if there's any like similar questions when it comes to housing, because I did get a few questions on that. So somebody had asked like good areas in Toronto and about like in and around Toronto to rent places, like what cities they would pick and things like that. I'm not going to be biased and say pick here and not pick here, things like that. Because I mean, people live in all these places. But okay, so when it comes to certain things like crime rate and like housing and uh, availability of housing, cheap housing, um, and the amount of accidents that happen, and everything related to those, I would suggest picking places. I mean, obviously, you should know this, but the closer you are to downtown, the more expensive everything is going to get. Like, say, for example, you want to rent a condo in downtown Toronto, and one bedroom apartment would be, say, $2,500. Um, Something similar to that, if you rent in like a place further away from downtown Toronto, you could get it for like 2000, 1800. It depends though, like on the building and things like that. So the further away you are going from the city, the cheaper it's going to be. But um, if if I'm to pick places, or not pick a place of where to live, I would shy away from areas like Brampton, mainly because, like, I mean, I kind of watch the news quite frequently, and I see a lot of like accidents and stuff happening in Brampton, and there's like a higher crime rate. And also, another place that I would shy away from would be Scarborough, because again, same situation, same reasons, but nothing else. But the good thing about these places is that you can find like affordable housing, and especially if you're coming from like a South Asian country like Sri Lanka, you get a lot of like Sri Lankan food places, and um, yeah, so things like that, which you wouldn't probably find in other places, or it would be harder to find in other places. But there are pros and cons. If you have family living in the area, then of course, like, why not? But yeah, so there are nice like neighborhoods. There's Mississauga, sorry, and I'm not really sure what's happening, but my throat is giving up on me. Um, yeah, so I'd say like York, um, North York, Richmond Hill, Mississauga, Etobicoke, um, things like that. Places like that are nicer. That's as far as I know. But the further away you're from Toronto, like Oakville, Hamilton, Vaughan, areas like that are also pretty good, and you get affordable housing. But yeah, it all depends on like where you work, where you want to stay, and things like that. Like if you want to be closer to your friends and family, blah blah blah, then that's pretty much like up to you. Okay, so I have a question. Hi, can you tell me the normal rent prices of apartments in your area? Um, I would say, like, for a one bedroom, 1+10, or two bedroom, it could range anywhere between, like, I'd say minimum I would go down to would be about 1850, so the 1850, up to anywhere between that to 3000, I would say, depending on like how new the building is, and the amenities in the building, things like that. But it could go up to 3000. at least for two-bedroom apartments. So yeah, you can note that down. Okay, so I think I should probably go because kind of covered the whole topic of like housing today. But yeah, if there is any questions for me, you can always leave them in the comment section, because like I can always answer them in my next live or something, which I'll be doing tomorrow. So I hope you join. I'm going to keep doing these lives for a little while at least and answer any particular questions if you have. But also, like, just chit chat, do nothing really. Yeah, I hope you join them in the future. And also, um, I thank you all for like watching my videos and each comment that you make, each like that you give me, because it's motivating, you know. So thank you so much for all of that. I'm gonna end this stream today, and I'll see you probably tomorrow. You have a good night, a good day, wherever you're from.